Welcome to Body, Brain, Breath. My name is David Lobenstein, and this is my collection of tips and techniques to make you a happier and more effective therapist. In the previous video, I talked about how I start each session by doing nothing. Just 30 seconds focusing on my own breath, my own body. Now, I want to talk about why I start by doing nothing. And the best way to figure out why is to think about what you, chances are, do when you start a session. Okay? I've taught continuing education courses for a long time now. I've worked with hundreds of students. And guess what happens? I demonstrate something, then the students partner up, and one of them gets on the table. When the therapist comes over to the table, before I have even given any instructions, right? Before I have asked them to start, what do the therapists do? You know what the therapists do because you've done it yourself, right? They immediately want to get their hands on that body on the table, right? After all, we like to help people. It's why we're in this business, right? So what happens is that we see that client on the table. It's like the client's body is a magnet, and we can't help but immediately get in there and try to change stuff and try to fix stuff. Here's the problem. This is all good intentions, but I actually think it's counterproductive. So I want to suggest another way. Again, start by doing nothing. Start by paying attention to yourself for just a few seconds, just a few breaths at the start of the session. It makes all the difference. And here is why. First, us, okay? When I give myself a few breaths at the start of the session before doing anything, what that means is I'm checking in with my own body. I'm more aware of starting the session by being calm and centered and grounded in my own body. That means that throughout the session, I'm less likely to get into those awkward positions, right? I'm less likely to dig and work with too much effort and therefore risk injuring myself. Also, when I give myself that chance to follow my own exhale all the way down to empty at the start of the session, it means that I'm beginning the session with a calm mind. It means that I'm giving myself the chance to recognize all those thoughts that are always rumbling around our heads, right? It's just an inevitable part of being human. But it means that I'm remembering my breath is my constant resource. If I ever feel like I'm distracted, if I'm ever too much in my head during the session, all I need to do is use that exhale to bring me back down into my own body and into this work. So starting the session with that attention to breath, it sets a pattern where I am more likely to continue throughout the session to be grounded both in my body and in my brain. So that's why it's useful for me, but I would say it's even more useful for the client, right? Now, I know this sounds crazy. How can doing nothing actually help the client? Here's how. My feeling is when a massage is at its most powerful, what we are doing is we are actually empowering our client. We are showing our client that they can feel good in their own bodies, that they can take care of themselves, that things are okay, even though they've just had surgery, even though they've just given birth, even though they are really sick, their body is still functioning. I think that this is a tremendous source of empowerment for our clients that we don't often recognize as massage therapists. Now, think again to that typical approach that we take. We see the client, we feel that magnetic pull, and we immediately dive in. What does that do? It actually it shows the client that they are just supposed to lie there and let us, right, do everything to them. Okay? It shows the client that they're just this kind of passive recipient of our oftentimes aggressive touch, right? It reinforces this idea that the client is helpless and that we are going to fix them. I think that that is a dangerous model that we give to our clients without meaning to, right? But it's what happens. Instead, we want to do the opposite. I want to help my client feel better in their body by the end of the session, and then give them that sense that they can continue to feel good in their own body. So when I start the session by paying attention to myself, what does that mean for the client? It means the client starts to pay attention to herself. Now, this is what's crazy. I'm not telling the client anything, okay? All I'm doing is standing, once again, at the head of the table. They're lying face down. I have my hands feather light touch on their scalp, okay? I'm taking that easy breath in and out like I described in the previous video. What happens? Almost without fail, the client's breath slows down and deepens too. It's like there is a link between us without me giving any audible instructions, just feeling that easy breath in my own body. The client starts to feel that easy breath in his body. Now, what we're doing is we're starting the session making the client more aware of how they can feel better in their own bodies. Once again, we are giving the client that sense of power. We're giving the client that sense of control. It means that we're not going to try to fix everything. We can't fix everything, okay? Because they don't need to be fixed. Even with all of the problems that that client has, the client's body is still working, right? And the client herself, the client is the one that has the power. And that's what we need to remind our clients of. We need to give them that gift of their own self-awareness. So, starting the session, doing nothing, just taking a few breaths in and out, feeling my feet on the ground. It grounds me in my own body and breath, and it demonstrates right from the beginning of our work together that the client can feel better in his or her own body too. Try it. It's pretty cool. So now I want to hear from you. Tell me what you thought in the comments section below. Like or subscribe if you are so inclined, and join my newsletter if you haven't already at bodybrainbreath.com. Thanks so much.